Now there are reports and rumors that WWE wants to add another person to the Seth Rollins group, which when you think about it, is even more crazier that this group doesn't even have a name yet. So this untitled Seth Rollins group is rumored to be about to add a fourth member, or a fifth member if you count Paul Heyman. There have been two names that's been suggested to be rumored in this report. Those guys are NXT wrestlers Ethan Page and Ricky Stark. I think Ricky Stark has a different name now that he's in the WWE or in NXT, but I know him as Ricky Stark. So until I figure out what the other name is, I'm going to say Ricky Stark. So these are the two guys that's been rumored to be added to the untitled Seth Rollins group. And I guess the only thing that I could say to that is, why? Why even do anything to hurt any of those two guys? Because at this point, I feel like that's exactly what would happen if you put either of those guys with this group. Ethan Page and Ricky Stark don't need to be involved in this storyline at all, especially them making their first impression on the main roster. For Ethan Page, I feel like it'll be more of the same. He almost fits perfectly in that group. So for me, if we had to add either guy, I would almost just say Ethan Page, just based off the fact that he has about the same amount of charisma as a Braun Breaker, that he has the same intrigue level as a Seth Rollins. He's almost the same type of character that this group has already. So in a weird way, Ethan Page would fit perfectly with Seth Rollins and this group. I still don't love it, but if we gotta go this way, Ethan Page fits this bland and boring type of group. As for Ricky Stark, I just don't want to see Ricky Stark get dragged into this. I really don't, because I think that Ricky Stark could have some potential in the WWE. I was a fan of his in AEW, and there were certain things that he would do in that company where I thought he had a real chance to be a star there. I don't even know if Ricky Stark would work with Seth Rollins. That's one of those things that I mentioned about the dynamic and the character chemistry just not mixing. I think Ricky Stark and Seth Rollins on the same team on the microphone would be awkward, and I think it would be an instant career killer for Ricky Stark in the WWE. I think one of the final nails in the coffin for Ricky Stark at AEW was when Ricky Stark had a promo battle with Edge, who goes by the name of Adam Copeland in AEW. We all know Edge is a WWE legend and a WWE Hall of Famer. When Ricky Stark had to have a promo battle with Edge, it was reported and appears as though Edge took a couple of personal shots at Ricky Starks in that promo. And since then, Ricky Stark's swagger has been fractured and what seems to be permanently damaged. I can't see any scenario where being in a group with Seth Rollins helps to fix that. It will be awkward, it will be unnecessary, and it could be an instant career killer for Ricky Stark. If it was too hot in that kitchen with Edge cooking in AEW, Ricky Starks is walking straight into hell itself. How is he even going to survive if what Edge said was too much for him to handle? I'm pretty sure that a lot of the WWE wrestlers are friends with Edge, as well as look up to and respect Edge. And I'm not saying Edge and Ricky Starks have a personal beef, but I'm just saying professionally, that's a bad look. Now, you could say maybe Paul Heyman can make something work with Ricky Stark, but I believe Paul Heyman can make something work with just about anybody. I will say this, though. The only way that Ricky Starks could fit in with this untitled Seth Rollins group is if Ricky Starks plans to kick Seth Rollins out of the group and take over the faction for himself. To me, that's the only way and the only possible reason Ricky Starks could even be considered for the untitled Seth Rollins group. You might have something there with Ricky Starks being paired up with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Ricky Starks might be a better talker on the mic than Seth Rollins. As much as I want Seth Rollins to get to this next level of superstardom, he's kind of showing me that he's just missing that extra gear when it comes to his character and the promos. To be a superstar, all the components matter, and you can't lack in any department. That's what sets aside the superstars from everybody else. Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage had qualities that simply no other wrestler could produce. Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock had the world captivated to the point that you might not ever see another wrestler get that type of reaction from the fans. If we look at the current product over the past few years, I think that kind of stamps my point. Roman Reigns is the superstar of this generation, and he's a great superstar. The only problem is he still doesn't come close to the impact that Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock had. And there's no fault to Roman Reigns. He's done everything that you could possibly do in that role. But like The Rock often says, it doesn't matter. You either have it or you don't. Ricky Starks might have a better chance at ascending into superstardom than Seth Rollins. And that's crazy for me to even say. Ricky Starks has the potential to be more exciting than what we see from Seth Rollins. But not by much. Not by too much. It's just simply the fact that this is the first time Ricky Starks will be a major player on WWE TV. We've only seen a small sample of Ricky Starks when you really put everything into perspective. We've only really seen him in AEW actively maybe 2 or 3 years. Ever since this promo that I'm mentioning with Edge, me personally, I haven't seen him much. He's done a nice job at increasing his value and his stock nonetheless. And now, for him to make an impact on the WWE main roster, he has to be inserted into a pretty big storyline. So I could appreciate the fact that they're trying to include him into something like the Untitled Seth Rollins group. But the only way that's going to work is if it's set up for Ricky Starks to take over that group and put Seth Rollins out of it. I'll go so far as to even say somehow Ricky Starks gets the Money in the Bank briefcase from Seth Rollins. For me, like I say, I want to see things that are different. I'm tired of seeing the same old scripts over and over again. Even with what I just suggested, it's not lost on me that that would be another story involving a double cross. Even with that in mind, to my knowledge, other than Chris Jericho, we haven't seen another up-and-coming wrestler from a different wrestling promotion come to WWE and be inserted into a main storyline right off the bat. And remember, I said an up-and-coming wrestler, not a wrestler that was already established. I said Chris Jericho because if we all remember, Chris Jericho came to the WWE and was instantly included into the WWE Championship picture. Chris Jericho even became the first undisputed champion in the WWE. As far as Ricky Starks, I feel like that he could go down that path. I feel like he could get to the main roster and have an immediate impact. But it's always revolving around the story and how well that's crafted. I don't like the thought of Ricky Starks being in the Seth Rollins Untitled group, but if he is involved, Ricky Starks has to take advantage of not only the group, but the fact that Seth Rollins has the Money in the Bank briefcase. This could make everything pay off in terms of that. Ricky Starks being a part of this group and somehow getting Seth Rollins out of the group and getting that Money in the Bank contract in the process, that would be a stroke of genius, to be quite honest with you, because this will be something that's completely different. This will be something that as WWE fans for over decades, we haven't seen anything like this take place. And this is the perfect place at the perfect time. I'm not mad at Seth Rollins, but Seth Rollins is just not living up to the expectations that I thought he would be living up to. I'm not going to blame it all on Seth Rollins, but he's just not getting it done, especially with all of these pieces around him. Now keep in mind, I said that Ricky Starks isn't ahead by that much when it comes to Seth Rollins and these qualities. But I think we've only seen a small fraction of what Ricky Starks could do. That'll be the only thing that makes my scenario make sense. Ricky Starks has to be improved on the mic, and he has to be even more improved in the ring. But we have to keep in mind that Ricky Starks almost looks like a cruiserweight against some of the other WWE superstars, especially within the untitled Seth Rollins group. What could Ricky Starks do to somebody like Bronson Reed in the actual match? Same thing for Braun Breaker. What type of threat will Ricky Stark really pose to Braun Breaker? So Ricky Starks will have to be much improved in the ring as well. Other than that, Ethan Page fits the exact energy of this group. I wouldn't like to see either one of these guys a part of this group, but if you had to pick either of them, I would have to say Ethan Page. Only if you're not going to let Ricky Starks come in and take over and get the Money in the Bank contract.